Okay, let's go.
So what's going on, babe? How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a good day.
you had a good day.
Mhm. Did you?
I had a so-so day. I think it was alright. I was pretty busy cleaning up and such, but
Did a good job. I noticed.
yeah, cut our little yard in front.
And you made dinner?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because it's not just for women, guys. Yeah. No, so I was thinking about something. I came across some stuff I was reading online about how uh finances are pretty divisive for marriage couples or
Mm.
married couples,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking, well, yeah. I mean, we went through some stuff too financially, right? Where we were kind of at odds with each other.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a sensitive subject for most couples. I think it's a depending on their history with money and how they feel about it. It can be a hard discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny too, cause like the dynamic changes as things get rougher. Like at first, when you first get married, you're like, oh, we share everything, and whatever we're doing, we're gonna do together. And then when you start feeling underrepresented or unheard, you start hiding your transactions or not mentioning money that you have, or you start feeling the need to start like stashing away money and claiming it as yours. You're no longer wanting to share. You know.
Yeah, are you talking unrepresented as like if you wanted to make a purchase or go do something that and
Yeah.
if like if you were to say, "Oh, I want to buy a new game system," and I was like, "No, that doesn't matter."
Right. Yeah, yeah, like something like that. Because I think gaming is something that like a lot of couples now deal with. Before it used to be something else, but now couples deal with something like gaming, where it sucks because some most guys are the ones that are, or in most marriages, the guys are the ones that are dealing with games and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they see it as it's me time, it's my time, I get to relax, and um, they might feel like
They could spend their money on a
they
game
could
or
spend their money on the
skins
game,
or
right? Or yeah, whatever add-ons and stuff, and they look at it like, what, I deserve this. Like this is, I work hard for my
mm-hmm.
money. I deserve this. Um, and your wife, or your spouse may work just as hard, but they're not spending money frivolously. So when a husband does it, or a spouse, because it could be both, you make a choice like, I deserve this, and you go out and get the whole new gaming system. You don't say anything, you don't mention anything about it, you just show up, or your spouse shows up and they see a whole new PlayStation 5 just sitting there, like, oh, where did that come from? Oh, I bought it today. Oh, with what money? Oh, well, my money. Even though it's money that's supposed to be shared between like husband and wife, you're supposed to be upfront and open with your finances and how you spend things, because we've come across couples where it's like they end up hiding their transactions, and
Mm-hmm.
when they needed that money, it's not there, and it's like, oh well, I
which is
spent it.
financial infidelity,
Yeah.
and not a lot of people know that term or are aware that it's
Right.
a form of infidelity in your marriage because you're hiding
Right.
transactions, you're hiding money, or you're spending money um, that's not in agreement. But I think like before we go too far, we gotta like also identify the fact that some couples just don't talk about money.
Yeah.
So their idea of what money looks like, especially in marriage, is very different.
Or sharing money. Yeah.
Sharing money.
Right.
So they may come into marriage like this is my money
Yeah.
and it's going to stay my money. Or not everybody, yeah, it's either my money or shared money. And so a lot of people are just very uncomfortable with, well, if it's my money, why does it matter how I spend it?
Yeah.
So if they did say, "Hey, I used my money because we have separate accounts to buy my PS5, then I don't want to hear it from you."
Right.
Which, depending on their arrangement, if they've actually talked about it, that may not be bad. And I think a lot of couples have very different agreements when it comes to finances because, like you said, we've talked to couples where they've shared accounts, they've shared money, and another spouse or one of the spouses has been had financial infidelity where they were spending money.
Yeah.
They lied about money. Bills were not actually getting paid,
Misrepresented or straight
misrepresented,
up lied.
loans taken out in secret, um,
One loan
spending
taken
money,
out to pay off the other loan.
yeah,
Right.
or spending money for themselves.
Maxing out credit
For the,
cards.
even on the
Yeah.
family, they've spent it on the family and have excused that infidelity as like, oh, well, I used it for the family, instead of on the priorities, and the other spouse was none the wiser. We've run into those couples. Then we've also run into couples where they have had separate accounts. They're okay with having separate accounts, but then there's a lot of conflict about what bills are getting paid or who's paying for the kids, extracurricular activities.
Right.
And are
I
you
paying the bills. You're paying
right? I
for
need extra
the kids'
money.
shoes or something like that or
Right, for
whatever.
this event is coming up. I
Yeah.
don't have enough. I need money from you. And then that kind of gets heated because it's like, well, you said that you were going to cover XYZ of the expenses.
Right.
So if you don't have enough for that, then why are you coming to me?
Well, yeah, especially in something like that, it's like if you already had an agreement and then you don't follow through on that agreement, and then you end up getting mad, like that's when you suddenly want to pull the whole like, well, it's my money part, and it's like, well, yeah, sure, if you guys had decided to separate your money, but then came to an agreement that you would be sharing a certain bill or whatever it was, and then you back out only to use that my money card, like it hurts the trust that you have with each other, you know?
Yeah, and I think a big thing though, I think regardless of whether a couple decides to share money and when I say share money, I mean share money, have joint bank accounts, access to each other's accounts, all of that.
Yeah, transparency. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So, I will, yeah, because you can still be transparent and have separate accounts. But I think
yeah, yeah.
whether a couple decides to share accounts, share money, or have separate accounts, that can look different for every couple in their situation. Because
Yeah.
I've also heard of couples that do wonderfully having separate accounts. But a big key factor on whether you share or you have separate accounts is your communication.
Yeah.
If each spouse has been open and honest about what that arrangement looks like who's going to pay for what, how is there a shared account that both of their money goes into to pay for the household expenses, different things like that, and what sort of money can be spent on themselves, what sort of money, when they have it all budgeted out and really broken down and they've communicated on where money goes, it could work out for them. But the problem comes when they're hiding
Yeah.
expenses,
Yeah.
when they haven't been forthcoming with how much money they actually have available
Right.
for expenses. So maybe they're living beyond their means and not aware of what their household income looks like and what they can afford. So it's things like that it becomes more of a difficult topic, an issue of conflict in the marriage when they are not fully aware of the actual money that the couple is bringing in. And I think for me, the way I think too is I have a history of in family law. So when we've done matters of like divorce, it's not a matter of your account, my account.
Yeah.
There's shared income. You get married,
Yeah.
the
The
date you get
assets are
married, everything
separated.
is shared.
Right.
And so when you get divorced, it doesn't matter what money was in your account. Part of that's still mine. It's taken into account when it comes to what was the income, what does support look like. So even in divorce, it's not your money, my money,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's like an inheritance or certain exceptions. So a couple may live with separate,
Yeah.
separate bank accounts, and then get divorced, and it looks different. It has been a while since I've done legal, but to my understanding, that's what's still
I think of I
that's
think
how
of
it still goes.
I think of Michael Scott in The Office when he's like, or when it was Oscar, he was like, just because you declare it doesn't make it so, or
Yeah,
just because you say it
just
doesn't
you
make it
said it.
so. It's
Yeah,
like I didn't just say it, I declared it.
I declared it.
I declared this is my money. It's like
Yes,
no, that's not how it
that's
works.
not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So a big thing when it comes to marriage finances and accounts is the communication and the agreement.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Well, sorry. I was actually thinking about like one of the things that's worked well for us is, well, actually some background is I went through a big chunk of time where I felt entitled to the money that was being made. Like if I wanted to go buy myself something,
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to go buy, which in the moment I knew was wrong because I didn't tell you. So I knew I felt a certain kind of way about it that I wanted to keep from you. Like I remember, I got this jacked physique from buying, buying some weights, and not
Mm-hmm.
telling you about it. And then one day you showed up in the garage like, hey, where did these come from? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
I remember.
yeah, I remember too. I'm sorry. um, no, I joke, we joke about it now, but it was
It's
really some,
really, yeah, it
it,
was rough.
it, it was like the cracking. It was like when, like that's when things were cracking for us, and weren't completely broken yet, but the cracks were forming for sure. And, um, I was someone who was like growing or was living life a certain way and didn't necessarily adjust to when we got married. And we didn't talk about finances too much in the sense of like, what do we want to plan together or what do we want to do together. I think there was like an inherent trust that you gave me because I would talk about credit scores and I'd be the one looking into loans and stuff like
No,
that. No?
I mean, I did have an inherent trust, but it wasn't because of how you talked about money.
Oh, okay.
I had an inherent trust because of how I was raised.
Okay.
So my family in my home, I knew that my parents shared money, and
Yeah.
there was a partnership. My mom was a stay at home mom. My mom did work for periods of time, but my dad was the main provider and breadwinner of our home. But it was still shared what they did with money. There was money discussions.
Yeah.
They shared how money was spent and things like that. So I went into marriage understanding, well, we're going to have a shared account, we're going to monitor and budget together and all
Yeah.
of that. I don't think you
I
did.
definitely didn't. I came from I really the complete opposite of that, where it's like one person made the money, one person made the decisions, and that was not even in an authoritative like I'm the man and I make the husband, the way that I am with you
Mm-hmm.
now. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like very just like it was one sided, and there was only one person really dealing with everything, and so there was uh there was no check or balance to that,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize I was doing that to us, but it wasn't until like the more the more things got rocky in our marriage, the more I defaulted to what I knew inherently from growing up, as opposed to what I was trying to do with our marriage. You know, there's just like the selfish tendencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, because for example, when you brought up the weights, there were other things that you had done
Oh yeah,
in the same period of time that you just kept spending money, or you would use money in a way that we would argue about it
right.
because either I'd find out about it or you would like I would just know.
Yeah, I remember like trying to like bring up ways to like, oh, we should take on this loan and do that with it, and you'd be like fighting me on it, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
But you were fighting me on it, and in the moment I remember being like, why don't you just trust me? Like, why don't you just listen to me? But
Yeah,
then,
you made it about a trust thing
yeah,
and wanting to do what you wanted with it. But for me, it was. I remember a lot of times when we would talk about this, like especially in counseling, it wasn't even me saying no. There were things like loans or certain purchases that I was flat out no,
hmm,
we're not getting that,
right,
or I don't agree with it. Then there were other things that I wasn't opposed to, but I was opposed to at the time, that I would
right.
say,
How
can
about
we
we
wait?
tried talking about it, and you would say, not right now. And in my little immature brain at the time, I was like, that's the same thing as a no.
Right.
Right, and which wasn't true. It's just how where I was at. That's how I interpreted things.
Right. Because
Yeah,
I was thinking, well, we have such event coming up.
yeah,
We had babies at the
right,
time, the
right.
little ones, um, daycare. There was so many different expenses that
Yeah,
I was thinking of that this was not a wise purchase
right.
at the time. And so when I would find out that you would still go and do that, I didn't have a name for it at the time. But again, when we went through counseling, I was able to
Yeah,
identify
now
what
we can
those
identify
feelings
it.
were, was like you prioritized yourself and these frivolous expenses
Right.
over the needs of your family
Yeah.
and our financial security. So I know that we didn't come into marriage saying, okay, this is how we're going to do our finances and
Mm,
this is what it should look like for us. We didn't.
mm-mm.
We didn't. but those things came up later. I think
Yeah.
now, after D-Day and actually sitting down and talking through things of what we wanted our marriage to look like, what we wanted our home to feel like, what security was to us emotionally, financially, things like that, then we were able to have more of an understanding of what money meant to us. And I think for me, it was security.
Yeah.
And then for you, I think it was security, but it was also in a different
I
way.
no, well, I think it was opportunity. Like it was just I can enjoy this or I
Money
can
for
do
you was
that. Yeah.
opportunity.
Which I look back on it now like it felt more like a FOMO kind of thing. Like if I don't do this now, then we won't be able to do it again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
if we don't get this loan now, we're not gonna be able to get the same
Or if
loan
you don't let me
later.
get this purchase
Yeah.
this thing now,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get it.
Right.
Or
And yeah, so I mean, I've actually I mean, I think we've had a joint bank account for the duration of our marriage, but we weren't joint minded. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like we had the same account, you know,
we
but
we well, I can't. We talked about money all the time. We talked about where money was going, what bills were being paid, but when it came to the extra money,
oh right, right, right.
that's where
So
we
like
were.
if you wanted to save up for a vacation, I would be like, well, let's save up for a PlayStation. You know, like our mindsets were different.
Right. So
Yeah,
when it came to bills and the necessities, we were in agreement on how it was spent, how much went to what, things like that. But it was all the extra
right.
money or extra purchases, or yeah, what we wanted to save for. And
Which you know the finances affected things that we would need money for. Like if we wanted to, or if I wanted to uh, recommend getting a loan for this, or you know us getting a new car, you know the the mistrust that there was financially because of how you were perceiving things and because of how I was acting,
you
it
were,
didn't make it comfortable to do. Like if we did need a new car, you'd be skeptical of like, do we really need a new car, or you just wanting to spend money or something like that.
what's that word? Where it's like you just go for it.
Oh yeah, impulsive.
Impulsive,
Yeah,
yes.
I was gonna
So
say stupid, but
no, no. I think you were very impulsive
oh yeah,
about what you wanted. You were very like
you're right,
pushy about what you
right.
wanted. So because that's how you often came to me about things that you wanted and money, anytime you presented
Approached you,
something,
yeah, it's just red flags for you, right? Right.
absolutely, and I was more like cautious, and so you were the gas, I was the brakes
Oh
when
yeah,
it came to everything,
yeah,
because it was just I wasn't sure where it came from.
yeah.
Plus there was also things that you did bring up financially that I was like, that's just the stupidest thing I ever heard of. Like not like you were stupid, but the idea was
You
like that makes
you can say
n-
it.
the idea
The idea.
that you presented
You're not stupid.
was very
I don't think you're
stupid
stupid. I
and
think what you said was
unwise
stupid. Yeah.
on so many levels.
Right.
But it was like at the time too, because we weren't friends. I guess at the time we were married, but we weren't friends.
Oh
We
right.
we weren't hearing each other concerns. So even if I brought up my questions and concerns of why this doesn't make sense, you rejected
Yeah,
them.
you would be wanting just basic information like why is this good for? What are we doing? Why would we want this? And I would take all those very basic questions and be like, well, why don't you trust me? Or how come you don't think,
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
would
trying.
never answer them.
No,
You would
yeah,
just be like,
deflect,
mm-hmm,
right? Like,
mm-hmm.
and I guess gaslight, make it out to be like you don't trust me or you're making the bigger issue than it
Yeah.
actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm just grateful you're better now.
Yeah, I'm better now. Yeah,
We're better now.
we're okay. We do okay. Yeah, I still don't have a PlayStation 5, but
You don't.
that's by choice. No,
Probably not going to get one
no,
anytime
yeah,
soon.
that you know of.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But anyways, back to like what we were talking about for couples, if they don't talk about it going into marriage and they just let life happen, then that's when money becomes very controversial
Is it
and
divisive? Is that the
divisive.
word? Yeah.
Yeah, with them, when they have different ideas, like we just discussed. Your thought of money was like, we have money, I can do stuff. It was opportunity. For me, it was security. We have home. We have a home. We have food. Our kids are provided for. Our bills are paid. It was security. It was something you save to go and do something. You work hard for what you have.
Right.
So our ideas and how we looked at money, how we treated it was very, very different.
Yeah.
And And that can be whether you share an account or you have separate accounts, as long as there's a conversation and you guys are in agreement of what to do with money.
Yeah.
You guys are, the couple should be just fine.
Yeah. You know what I thought was really cool recently? Like for a long time, we had a bank that wasn't accessible physically, like in person.
Mm-hmm.
And then, one day I brought up to you, well, like willingly brought up to you, I didn't feel scared. I gave you the facts, I gave you the reasons, to open up an account that's available in person.
In
And
our location.
in our location, yeah. And you were good with it. And I remember thinking like, wow, like had I done this like 5 years ago, it would have been met with such like a lot more skepticism or like, legitimate questions and stuff. But not they're not separate accounts. They're just purpose. They have their accounts with separate purposes. Like one account is so that we have the ability to withdraw or deposit money locally,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one being a bank that we use electronically that we're able to do a lot more with. So I just think it was really cool that we were able to have that conversation,
Yeah.
and it be constructive and productive. At that, not constructive, more productive than constructive. But yeah, something like that was really cool. I still think of that as a kind of a highlight of growth in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what else I think is funny is that or I'll start with me. My view on money, or like the impulsivity, has died out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Where
For
like,
sure.
yeah, like I remember before I used to think I need that new phone, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every phone, like the next phone, the next Samsung phone, now with the slightly better camera, like I needed that one after I just got the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but over time, I feel like that's died in me so strong that it's like I feel like the opposite is happening now. Like I'm more focused on security and establishing security, and I enjoy being able to say that and do that. And you're learning to become more okay with spending money
Mm-hmm.
in
I
a
still gravitate towards
yeah,
like saving
you
and
default to like I better pinch every penny, but you're learning also
I
to
wouldn't say pinch every penny,
no,
but I
okay.
do like to
Yeah, the
say,
Amazon, the pile of Amazon boxes in the garage says otherwise,
hey,
but
okay,
it's
it
for the
was in my
kids.
Amazon cart,
Yeah,
my save for later for many, many days
yeah,
or months until I actually purchased.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah. No, but like you've grown to be more comfortable spending money on things that you would like as opposed to need. 'Cause, because everybody can buy well, ideally everyone can buy what they need, but um, when it comes to wanting, there's like that misplaced guilt of like, oh, I shouldn't get this for myself, and that's something that's changing you too. Now maybe,
I still struggle with
oh
it,
yeah, but
but yeah, I'm
yeah,
more comfortable, but I still struggle with it.
yeah,
I think too, though, just to like throw this little nugget in there, I think part of the reason why that impulsivity in you changed and my comfort with how I spend money changed was our relationship.
oh yeah, our
Because,
dynamics changed entirely.
right, because at that time when things were rocky when it came to finances or, us not being in agreement with it, I think we were missing pieces. We were broken. We had, as you said, like these cracks were forming where we were not as close. We were not as united. We weren't as emotionally secure with each other for XYZ reason.
Yeah, I don't think we were both believing that the other was doing the best they could for each other.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And so I think that there was, for you, it was, I'm looking out for number one. For
right.
me, I'm like, I need to protect myself. I need to, be careful and cautious. And then once we really got through counseling and kind of worked through a lot of those trust issues and addressed rooted issues in our marriage, that we began to hear each other, see each other, really be friends again,
Right.
and our marriage taking a turn, that I think once our marriage and our issues in our marriage and our security with each other began to heal and get better, those other things were just byproducts, like the impulsivity kind of dying down.
Yeah.
That was a byproduct of the healing between us.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it was just, oh, I just learned and grew and I just became comfortable with it. It was, I began to trust you when you came with things and we would talk it out, and you would trust that if I had questions, that was how I process
Yeah.
things to understand.
I've learned to respect and appreciate your questions, because there's times where you ask a question that I didn't think of, and I don't take it as a shot to my ego anymore. Now I'm like, oh, that was a good question. I'll go find out and
Right.
bring it back to you, kind of thing.
Right. And then even for me, feeling like, okay, I can trust you that we do have money, that it's okay for me to spend this and buy something
Yeah.
for myself. Or, I don't know if there is maybe some sort of guilt that I felt too of treating myself, buying something for myself. That maybe I think part of my issue with getting myself anything is a guilt, I guess, in a way, or feeling like I shouldn't. Um, so us talking about that and kind of getting, for lack of better words, because it was never that I needed your permission, but in a way,
You needed my support.
yeah,
Yeah.
I needed support
Yeah.
that it was okay for me to buy myself something or treat myself
Yeah.
to something that, again, I would not have really taken that from you
Yeah.
when we weren't in good standing.
Was there a, I don't remember everything, but was there a time frame or a patch of time that I made you feel like you couldn't do something? Like, oh,
Like buy myself something?
yeah, or like he's gonna be mad at me if I bought this or that. Because I don't, if anything, I don't feel like I ever did that. Like, I feel like I was equally impulsive. Like, if you wanted to go out and buy something, I'd be like, yeah, let's go do that thing. I don't think I was ever like, let me buy myself all these things, and the second you ask for anything, I'm like, no, we gotta save money. I don't think I did that to you, right?
I don't think you ever verbally said, like, no, you can't get this. That's stupid. Like, I don't think you ever said that.
Yeah, I don't think I tore you down, right?
No,
Well, not when it comes to like purchasing stuff.
no. I think it was, that's how I interpreted things. Like, okay, so if I knew that you were impulsive and I knew that you were making these secret purchases or constantly wanting XYZ, I felt I couldn't get anything for myself because I'm like, what if the baby needs something? What if we need to pay
Oh
for
yeah,
something?
like you felt the need to compensate for.
Yeah, I felt the need that I need to make sure that I am doing what's right and spending money wisely. And like I was trying to, again, that security of like, I don't feel comfortable getting something
Yeah.
frivolously because I don't want to argue with you anymore. I want to make sure that, God forbid anything happen, it's not my purchases. It's not my thing. It was,
Like you didn't want to fall on your on.
I didn't want it to fall on me and the finger be pointed at me that I'm being unwise or anything. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds like really bad. Like I just kind of let you take the fall, but
I mean, that's just where you were at.
that's where I
Yeah.
was at. And again, I argued with you. Like we argued about
Yep.
purchases and things. So it wasn't like my voice wasn't heard. It was just not accepted, I guess, at the time.
Right.
Would you say that's fair?
I think that's fair to say.
So I think it wasn't necessarily that you said I couldn't buy anything or I couldn't do something. I felt I'm not comfortable with it because I wanted to make sure again that it wasn't on me.
Don't you feel like, I feel like it compounded the issue. Like you had some other stuff that you were dealing with, or that we had to deal with over time, and we learned to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was on top of what you had already kind of felt. I made it worse
Yeah.
by you feeling the need to like mama bear the
I
situation.
think it was just you never said anything that I couldn't do it. Compounding with my personal issues of needing security or feeling guilty for getting anything for myself made me feel like I couldn't get anything for myself. Unless there was like an actual need for it, you know, it was really, really hard.
You had to justify it, like in
Yeah.
your own process.
I think even now I still have to justify it. That's why I say like it's kind of like a joke when you said that whole Amazon thing where with the boxes.
Yeah.
But even then it's like
boxes.
but I'm in my head I'm like I justify it because it's household supplies
Oh,
or
yeah.
something the kids need.
No, right.
If it's something for me, I'm not like it
Which
stays in my.
which we're in agreement on too. Like it's
Oh,
not
for
like
sure.
it's not like you're just like, oh, I felt the need to buy this. Like we talk about it, and you've always been pretty good and upfront about things like that. So I know that.
Or even if I mention something like, oh shoot, I've been wanting to get something or I'm looking for whatever. You've over the last few years, I think because you understand my process now and how I feel about it, or my little bit of struggles, that you kind of started saying, just get it for yourself, babe. That's okay. Or we'll just get it. Well, you should get it.
Right.
So you kind of give me that little bit of a
I've
push.
learned that I need to give you that push.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're brave enough to go down the slide, but you're stuck on the top of it. And I'm just kind of like, whoop-ah,
Yeah.
see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that how we've changed and how we felt about money individually and as a couple has changed for the better, but a lot of that came from us healing. And so,
yeah. I mean, we had to realize we were broken in certain spots too, not only as a marriage, but then as people.
mm-hmm.
You know, I was broken to my capacity, and you were broken to yours, and we had to face ourselves in different ways. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I feel like our marriage and our family is so much better for it because we've come across a lot of things that and made a lot of decisions together that have benefited us so much so well that I feel stupid for when I look back. I feel stupid for not being in unison before. You know, like it's just we probably could have enjoyed so much more things together,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, we could have done a lot more together. But I'm always glad that that's where we're here now.
Yeah. You said unison, and that made me think. So, like, I was kind of studying and looking into marriages and if they choose to have shared accounts or separate accounts. Because I find it curious. I hear coworkers and other people talking about how they do money with their spouses, and like I said, some people are like sold out. Like my marriage is great. We have separate accounts, and we're wonderful. And then other couples are like, oh, I would never. Like I need to know exactly what's happening with our money and our financial situation. And even when we were receiving counseling, and as we've gone through like our courses when we were becoming mediators and coaches, one of the things that came up was money. How did each of us think about money, and how did we handle money? It's encouraged for couples to share accounts, right? It's encouraged. A lot of church, even people that don't go to church, they encourage shared accounts for the purposes of partnership and transparency. And I think that although obviously we share accounts, I do believe it is a form of partnership and transparency because you both know where the money is, where it's going. Side note, I said we would both know where it's going, and in my head I think, in all honesty, some couples have money going into the same account, and only one of them knows where it's going.
Oh yeah.
So, I guess little side note on that, but again, that's based on their agreement and who's in control or managing the money, and if there's actual discussions happening.
Right.
With where their financial situation is, which I highly encourage every single couple, whether they're engaged and going to get married or married, to have regular meetings about their money, their budgeting and where it's going or where they stand.
Hold on, before you move too far on that, like there has to be a proper time to talk, but it shouldn't be on date night. Or it shouldn't be.
No, yeah, just set time aside though.
Yeah, intentionally set time aside.
Intentionally set time aside.
You'll ruin date night, or you'll ruin the drive home, or you'll ruin whatever moments you could be sharing together. Like if you're just chilling on the couch and your spouse is like, "Oh, I'm so glad to be here," and out of nowhere it's like, "Hey, what do you think about retirement?" And it's like, I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah.
Set that time aside to talk about it. You'll feel better knowing where your financial situation is. And even plan for your future of what you want your financial situation to look like, whether that's I don't know anybody that would plan for their financial situation to be worse. So plan for what you want your future to look like, your financial freedom and things like that.
Yeah, because like if you don't, you just leave things to assumption or misunderstanding. And when you talk about it, at least it's all on the table, Like ready to, you guys are both ready to work towards a goal instead of just, I hope this happens.
So would you, in your opinion, like just based on what we've talked about, would you, I feel like some people can be very strong in, you need to share bank accounts and you're wrong if you don't. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people have very
Yeah, like
strong
it has to be
opinions.
this way or that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like older generations maybe are stronger in that. I could be wrong, but in, the kind of just how I think about things, I think most of the older generations are like, you need to share accounts. And more of the younger generations, even statistically, younger generations are, I think it was like 32% on the SoFi Love and Money statistic, that 32% of younger generations prefer to have separate accounts for individual, like just kind of like control, like individual freedom purposes. They go into relationships thinking, no, I had, this is my account, this is your account, and we're kind of like in the middle, like we're in between. So what do you feel?
You know, I've enjoyed the benefit of having shared accounts or shared mindsets. Really,
Mm-hmm.
like so with us having that, you have access to every account. You have every login. We have every login. We talk about the bills. We talk about what we hope to do and all that stuff. So that's what I mean by like the shared mindset. Like if we happen to have separate accounts, um, if we're maintaining that purity in that we're not hiding anything, we're like misrepresenting how much money we've spent or have, you and as long as everything's on the table and we've talked about it all, I don't think that's a problem either. And if that's what works for people, that's fine. I feel like the bigger takeaway from anything should be maintaining that purity in being able to talk about those things honestly. So I don't think like a bank account number is like irrelevant when it comes to the fact that you're lying to your spouse.
Right.
So it's more so the integrity and the purity to be open and honest with that, as opposed to like, oh well, we're forced to have a shared account. Like even if you had you could hide transaction if you had a shared account anyway. You could not share or not talk about things.
Or have a secret separate account.
Perhaps secret account. Yeah, it's offshore, a PayPal, whatever. I have many Swiss bank accounts. Right. But yeah. Like
Good answer.
Good
Good
answer.
answer.
Did you right? But if only one person is paying the bills and they're in control of the money and they're not willing to tell the other about it, that has to come from somewhere. Like it's not just from like, well, I'm the one that's in control and you don't need to know. Like I feel like when people get to that realm of like, well, you don't need to know, it sounds like they're hiding stuff. And so there needs to be a checks and balances to that as well.
I think in the same breath too, there are spouses that don't like talking about money.
Yeah.
They will put their head in the sand and whatever happens because they don't like talking about money.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is the flip side of what you're saying, with somebody that's controlling it and unwilling to share the financial situation or where money's going or how it's coming in, things like that. I think the other side of that,
like willful ignorance. Like,
putting their head in the sand because they're afraid.
They don't want to talk about it.
Money makes them uncomfortable. Maybe they grew up in a home where anytime they talked about finances, there was an argument. Things like that. So even for that spouse that wants to not talk about it, wants to put in their head in the sand and just cross their fingers, hope for the best, they have to understand that even, let's say you were the one spending money willy-nilly, okay?
Like I had the Amazon habit, right?
Yeah, you had the Amazon habit, and I put my head in the sand. The financial situation, if we went into, extreme debt, lost our house, things like that, I could try to say that it's your fault for getting us there because you were responsible for the money. But I am just as responsible for putting my head in the sand and not being a part of it. Which I may get some heat for that, but I feel like
you didn't speak up or say anything, and or even you didn't make, like, by the fact that you didn't say anything, you defaulted to whatever I would be doing. Yeah. So.
And it was an approval. It was enabling you to go about doing whatever you wanted to do or
Right.
handle our home.
Which to be fair, like it wouldn't be your job to stop me, but per se, but there should be each spouse should provide the other with a check and balance of
Mm-hmm.
things, and when that's out of balance, like you're only going to tilt one way, and if you're tilting towards spend money frivolously or unwisely, then you're going to go wherever that takes you.
Yeah,
Yeah, which sucks.
it
It sucks
does.
really bad.
It does. Yeah, I think your answer was a good answer, and I would agree that, especially nowadays, understanding money and having heard from a few couples on how they spend money, and we've heard a lot of stories, and so we've seen how both sides have helped a couple, and both sharing accounts, having separate accounts, how that's worked for couples, and then how it's also not worked for them, depending on what their agreement and arrangement is. I like you said, the biggest thing is the communication part of it. Is there transparency? Is there honesty? Is there access to both accounts? Are they in agreement of how that money is to be saved or spent and where it goes? Do they check in with each other? Things like that.
Yeah, which is healthy to check in.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
to know exactly what's going on. So if the communication is there, um, and everything's above water, then if that's what works for them,
Yeah.
that's what works.
Yep. Good talk, babe.
Good talk.
All right.